The main question that we want to address today is that what are the opportunities in mathematics or mathematical sciences, that is after school. This is particularly for those kids who are in love with mathematical sciences. They may not necessarily like engineering, or they may not necessarily like physics or chemistry. There are some kids with that, like that. There is nothing wrong in liking physics or chemistry, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying there are some kids like that who do not like it. They wonder at times that if I want to just stay with mathematics or things similar to mathematics, what opportunities are there for me inside India, outside India, and so on. Opportunities in the sense of research, in the sense of applied sciences, in industry, and so on. Before I begin with the basics of what type of universities are available and what are the roadmaps to reaching those universities, I'll just tell you a couple of stories that might be useful for you. And those stories are actually really helpful for understanding some of the roadmaps as well. When I talk about stories, I basically speak about my students. One of our students, Aryan Kalia, let me tell you a little bit about Aryan. He is joining Harvard this year in 2022 fall. Aryan is from United States, and I'll tell you a little bit about his journey. And from this story, you can also figure out some of the things that you should be doing if you want to reach the top tier universities of the world, including the ones in India, like ISI or CMI, or places like Cambridge, Oxford, or Ivy Leagues in the United States, and so on. So, what Aryan did, he really did three things. And these are the three things that we suggest to all kids in Chinta as well. The first thing was, of course, a really good result in mathematical Olympiads. So he was in the global 1% in American math competition, AMC 10 and 12. So he did really well there. One thing I see many kids doing these days, that they are running after this contest and that contest. And there are too many contests nowadays. I mean, it's totally distracting. It's not useful either. If you include those contest names in your CV in the long run, chances are that the admission committee will just be bored by it. They can, I mean, there are, you think about a letter and a few letters together, and there is a contest of that name. It's ridiculous. So, first of all, do not go around taking 10,000 contests. It's pretty useless, and it's a waste of your time. And some of those contests are not even Olympiad grade. They do not have problems which are interesting either. Uh, what would be effective is to take one or two very well chosen contests which will have a bearing on your CV, on your resume. AMC, or American Math Competition, is definitely one contest like that. INMO, Indian National Math Olympiad, is definitely another contest like that. Those are useful. Madhava Math Competition, for the people who are in college, will be useful for that. And if you are in a different country, let's say Canada or UK or Australia, the math competitions of your respective countries, those are conducted by the mathematical associations of your countries. Those will be useful. The others will be pretty useless. If the problems are good, it will be a good practice. If the problems are bad, they can have a negative impact on your mindset. So choose well. Aryan did that. He did really well in AMC. That's the first thing he did. The second thing that he could do was a research project. Now, I cannot stress this more. Um, it is the world is changing very fast. We are already in the so-called fourth industrial revolution. You are slowly experiencing the advent of 5G technology, artificial intelligence, data science, and everything at your daily lives. In this context, universities are not looking for people who can retain information. 10 years from now, if you can remember the father's name of Babar, that would be quite irrelevant. If you can draw a great picture, do a great painting, write a good poetry, or do a beautiful mathematics problem, that will be extremely important. In fact, people who will have those retention kind of skills, they would have damaged their brain so much that they wouldn't be able to adapt with the new environment where creativity is demanded. So it's extremely important that you focus on some sort of a research project. Aryan did that. Aryan Kalia, those who have joined just new, I'm just giving you some anecdotal stories where you can find out your pathway toward the places in mathematics. And Aryan Kalia is one of those examples. So he did it. He worked on a project, in fact, with Chinta on graph theory and mathematical contests. So his thesis was on this. This is something that he did in, I think, 10th grade, or he started in 10th grade but finished it up in 11th, I think. So what he was doing was that he was analyzing the contest problems from AMC, and then he was building relationship between the problems using graph theory, and then from that he would be able to extract some conclusions. So research projects are really important. Student research projects are increasingly becoming more important these days, and if you do not know where to start, you can always ask for help. You don't necessarily have to ask for help from Chinta. Of course, we do that, but you can also ask for help from your teacher or your local university. That's also totally fine. I gave the link where you can find some of the examples of student research projects that are happening right now. There are kids who are doing it. Okay, so that's the second thing that Aryan did. The third thing that Aryan did was work experience. So what he did is he was part of one of our student work groups where he created videos, taught some people, took the seminars, designed the business logic, and so on. Look, when you start working, and this is a new mindset that Indians, I think, have to get used to, because we are only habituated in just studying at school. But the world is changing very fast, and you have to take advantage of that. When you start working, when you start working, the experience that you gain is extremely valuable. It can add to your CV, of course, that's number one. But number two, it can add to the mindset that you apply in problem solving. And that is not necessarily mathematical problems. Aryan, in fact, participated in the business development part of Chinta North America. So think about it, a 10th grade kid designing the business logic of a company sitting in United States. It's wonderful. I mean, it's not a single case. And Aryan put all of these experiences in his CV, and that actually finally ended up having him in Harvard. So it's very important that all of these three components are there in your journey. Number one, excellent Olympiad or some academic track record. That's important. Number two, some sort of a research experience. That would be extremely useful. Number three, some sort of a work experience. So all of these three things come together, and you will have an excellent plan to move towards some of the best universities in the world, like in India or outside India. Opportunities in scholarships as well when you are doing really well in mathematical Olympiads. I'll give you one example. UT Austin, University of Texas, Austin. It has merit scholarship program where UT Austin is the place for Terence Tao. Maybe you have heard of Terence Tao. He is like a prodigy in mathematics. So it's one of the best mathematics departments in the world. It has a direct scholarship program where if you do well in the INMO level, the Indian National Math Olympiad level, or even if you are in United States USMO level or any other national math Olympiad level, you will get a direct scholarship to enter there. Now, uh, I was talking to you about the fake Olympiads a few moments ago, and or the fake math competitions. You know what? One of the damages those fake math competitions do is a sense of fake satisfaction. Nowadays, many kids come to us and tell us we are a national rank holder of fifth in India or something, or seventh in the world in some weird math competition, which has no value. Now see the damage that is being done. The kid is thinking that he's really good because he has seventh rank in the world. It sounds really fancy, but we know as teachers that it's nothing, and as in admissions committee, it's even more nothing. So don't fall in the trap of fake Olympiads or fake contests or fake things. The real things, the mathematical associations of your country. If you are in India, then mathematical associations of India, like Homi Bhabha, the one that is in TIFR, that organizes all of these contests and all of these summer camps. So go to those. Don't go to the fake ones. So that's one story of Aryan Kalia. I think that is quite useful. Another story I would like to share with you. This one is this one is of um, Anushka Agarwal. Well, Anushka is one of our. So she started teaching at Chinta when she was in eighth grade. Think about it. She was, yeah, I'll talk about university as well in a moment. So she started teaching at Chinta when she was at in grade 8. She was an INMO awardee by that time, and then she also created a separate organization inside Chinta called Center for Girls in Mathematics. So again, those three things: number one, a great academic track record; number two, research. I cannot emphasize more research. Number three, work experience. And she got a full scholarship in Oxford actually this year, but she's not choosing Oxford. She's going to MIT instead. But again, the pathways will open if you are focusing on these activities. The next story I would like to share is from college mathematics. So people who are in first year or second year of college, or in graduate school, like they are doing masters or some sort of PhD program, they are enrolled in some sort of PhD program. The academic journey is like this, that you will have to stay on the top of things all the time. And I'll give you one example. We have a research group at Chinta called on geometric group theory, where six kids are working right now. One of them, Aniruddha Bhattacharjee, I'll tell you his story. He is going to TIFR this year. He worked on this particular project for the last 6 7 months while he was in college. He was also teaching actually at Chenta. And the main long term plan is this, that if you are going for a postdoc or an assistant professor position in the long run in some university in India or abroad, what they will look inside your CV is the kind of research that you have done and the kind of work experience that you have. Now, this is something that many people do not understand, that they can build this up even from the college level. When they are in college, when they're just starting out their BSc program, the first year of the BSc program or the second year of the BSc program, they can also start with that, with those type of activities. And many of them actually do that. Many of them actually do that. And Oniruddho has done it for the last, I think, more than 6 months. And he and his team is working on a book. They're working on a book where a part of the book is a translation from a French mathematics text, and a part of it is a margin on which the writers or the translators are giving comments. So it's a fantastic project. I think similar projects can be devised for each of you. One of the things that we think is extremely important is that add this sort of projects in your portfolio. So these are the few stories that I wanted to share with you. Now let me make it a bit more precise. Uh, After high school, And I'll just make it in two stages: after high school, after college. Okay, two stages. So after high school, there inside India, there are of course universities like ISI or CMI or TIFR. Sorry, not TIFR, IISc Bangalore. These are the three best places. But there are also ISERs, Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research. ISERs. There are five of them. All of these places have outstanding mathematics programs. The IITs also have mathematics programs, but since their focus is mainly on technology, apart from IIT Kanpur and IIT Chennai, I have not heard very good words about the BSc program of their mathematics stream. So I would say one of the best places to go would be CMI and ISI, and then closely followed by IISc Bangalore. That's a 4-year program, and the integrated MS program in the ISERS. That's a 5 years program. ISI and CMI have their own separate entrances, so you can take them. You can also do really well in mathematical Olympiads and then go to ISI or CMI directly for the interview. That's also possible. That's inside India. These are the 10 options: the five ISERs, the two ISI and CMI, and then IISc 8. And there are two IITs that I mentioned: IIT Kanpur and IIT Mumbai. But apart from these 10 colleges or 10 universities, even if you do a bachelor's degree, at a relatively okay, so I'll come to questions at the end of this session, surely. Okay, let me first complete the exposition. Thank you. So, as I was saying, that apart from these 10 places, even if you get into a second tier college or university, that is also totally fine if you are going for the long haul. That is the long term, if you have a long term plan for a research career in mathematics. So, I will come to that in a moment. Uh, for the places after high school outside India, let me talk about that for a minute. If you are going for places like Harvard or MIT or Yale or Ivy League universities or Stanford or some other American universities in the top 50, I already mentioned a few things that you should be doing. I will say that one more time just to make sure it's all in the same place. The three things that you should be doing are a great contest result. Number two, a good research project. We have students in 8th grade who are doing research projects at Chinta. So you can also do it. There is no problem. So great contest result, good research project, and a good work experience. That's the secret sauce. I see Shorodip in this particular community attending the session. Shorodip and his team, this is a part of a Chinta program called Math Circles, where we actually help the students to get work experience, and that's free. Anyone can attend. You don't even have to be a Chinta student. If we have place, of course we prioritize Chinta students, but if we have opportunity, we will also help you out. So what they do is they work with kids from rural India, like places from Purulia, Sundarban, and they are creating math circles there, helping small groups of 6 kids twice every month. And then they are actually keeping diaries of their activities. And Shodadeep, I am seeing him, so I remember he has some excellent diaries out of that particular process. So I think all of these three things will make you an excellent candidate for the American universities and the British universities. And we can help you with the particulars, like how to go give SAT or all the other exams that will be involved. But some of the, if you do really well in these three counts, some of the places won't even ask for SAT scores. SAT is one of the exams that you take for American universities. Some of the universities won't even look for that. So it all depends on your performance. That's after high school what you can do. I'll write that in the chat so that you can remember. So number one, great contest results. Number two, great research projects. And number three, good work experience. And this is even for school. Look, one of the things that you will need to apply abroad is a good recommendation letter. Usually they ask for 3 recommendation letters. And sometimes, of course, you take it from school students. I'm sorry, school teachers. That's fine. But the most successful candidates are actually taking it from their research advisors. Research advisors, like for example, Aryan Kalia took one from me and another one from his own research advisor, another research advisor that he worked with. Now, it would be great if those people who are recommending you have actually worked with you. You can, of course, go ahead and talk to some connection and get a recommendation letter, but that wouldn't usually work. The admissions committee are really smart. They will understand. They will be able to see through it. Uh, Now, the research advisors or the people who are giving you recommendation letters, this is a critical thing. That if they are if there is no escape from this. If they have university degrees from United States, or if they have university degrees from UK, they will get an advantage, because then you have someone giving recommendation who has credibility. Credibility is extremely important in the recommendation letters. So for if you are in Chinta, that is totally fine. You know that many of the faculty members are abroad. They are already helping out the kids. If you do well, they will be very happy to recommend you. But if you are even not in Chinta, that's totally fine as well. Universities in India have some excellent professors. I would say seek out, reach out to them. This is summer. Summer is coming up. It's an excellent time to do a short project. Reach out to them, talk to them, and if you do good work, I'm sure they will be able to help you with recommendations. So I'll write that in the chat as well. If you are applying abroad, recommendations are extremely important. Recommendation letters. Try to get it from someone who is a published researcher, uh, and or someone who has some at least some exposure in the international scene of knowledge. Okay, so that's critical. That's about what happens after class 12. Now, in the yeah, I'll answer the questions one by one, but I'll just finish up first. What happens after that? Okay, what happens after that? Look, the thing is this, that there are 2 types of candidates in the long run. One who wants to go to the industry. They would just want to get a great job and get on with that. Maybe they want to go to the banking sector. Maybe they want to go to AI or data science or machine learning or something like that. There are other types of candidates who want to go into research. They are in the business of knowledge creation. So how do you how do you see two different object when you see these 2 different objectives shaping up inside you, you have to take different steps. For example, personally, I am more research oriented, but I have a friend who is also director at Chinta, Shujit Mukherjee. He did it BStat. He did his BStat BMath MStat from ISI Calcutta, and he's now going to Pennsylvania State University for a PhD. He is more application oriented. He's interested in making things for the industry. Both of them are both of these types are really fine. There is no problem with it. But you have to know and you have to do accordingly. So after you do a bachelor's degree in India, the one thing is this, that it is usually a 3-year bachelor's degree. If you are in IISc, that's a 4-year bachelor's. That's at par with American universities or European universities. But if you are in a 3-year bachelor's degree, then usually you do a 2 years masters. Now, for the 2 years masters in India, at least, the best choices are ISI MMath or MStat. There are some other variants of that. MSQE is also there. MSQE is also a very good option, actually. That's in quantitative economics. And CMI has a great data science program. That's also a fantastic thing. But apart from that, the IITs, Indian Institute of Technology, have certain exams called IIT JAMs. You can take an IIT JAM and go into a 2 year master's program in IITs. That's also a good option. But apart from IIT Mumbai and IIT Chennai is also good. IIT Mumbai, IIT Chennai. Apart from those two, it really doesn't make sense to go into an IIT to do mathematics because the departments are not yet that good. They are better than many places, but they're not very good, I would say. Instead, I would suggest that if you are unable to get into, let me put in the chat again. If you are unable to get into these places, that is IISc, CMI, MSc, ISI, MMath, or MStat, or the similar programs, or the two IITs like IIT Mumbai and IIT Chennai, one of those two IITs. If you are unable to get into these places, then apart from these places, if you are unable to get into these places, that's fine as well. But if you are unable to do that, then it would be yeah, master's level Mumbai is also really good actually. IIT Kanpur I should include, yes. Okay. So if you're unable to get into these few places, then I would say after bachelor's, you can straight away apply for PhD. And that is totally possible. That is totally possible. Oh, I missed the major one. Sorry, TIFR. I missed TIFR. So if you can go to TIFR, that's all. That's obviously the one of the best things that can happen. TIFR or IIMSC. But apart from these places, if you're unable to get into these places, after the bachelor's program, you can go directly for a PhD program in United States or in let's say Europe. It's better in United States because they have some funding opportunities as well all the time. Now, but you have to plan really well. Again, at the college level, if you do a 3 years bachelor's, there are the few things that you have to plan really well. Number one, of course, you have to do the GRE. Yeah, IMA is also good, but for bachelor's, yes. So GRE and advanced GRE are there. Those two things you will need. TOEFL is there. So these are the two things that many people already know. But few other things that you will really need in the long run are the following. First is recommendation letters. That is again a very big necessity at this level, and get it from some established researcher. So for that, to get the recommendation letters, you can either go and do some research reading project with some professors in those established universities, or some professors even abroad. Someone might be interested to do it. Chinta also does that. We have research projects going on all the time. But apart from Chinta, many other people do it. And it's a great thing to do because you will get good recommendations out of those research projects. And those are absolutely necessary if you want to land up in a good place. Okay. So that's the first thing. You need recommendation letters. Number two, oh, I messed up the numbering, but anyway, number two is a good research project that I have said over and over again. I cannot stress more. And the third thing that you will need, and this is more important for college kids, more important for college kids, is work experience. I mean, I mentioned this in the school kids as well. Many of the school kids that Chinta is doing research projects. I'll answer questions, obviously. Thank you. But I will finish up first. But in college, it becomes even more critical that you have some work experience. And the reason is this: you have to understand how the American universities or British universities function. What is the reason they are funding you to do PhD there? Usually, it's a full funding. For me, it was a full funding at least. Many people get full funding. Why is it a full funding? Are they very excited to have me? Maybe that is true. But apart from that, the main reason they are interested to give you a full funding is because it's cheap labor for them. It's cheap labor in the sense they make you work as a lecturer or a teaching assistant at their university. In that way, they do not have to hire professors at the lower level classes. The PhD students can do it, the postdocs can do it. So you have to understand their intention, why they want to take PhD students with full funding. Because even if they give you full funding, it's much lower cost than actually hiring a professor for them. Okay, so to show them that you are eligible for such a fully funded PhD program, you have to demonstrate that you have work experience, that you have worked before, you know how to function in an organization, you know how to carry out activities and so on in a streamlined manner. That will make you a strong candidate and a diversity candidate as well. So again, I come back to these three things over and over again, but they are absolutely important. Most people focus only on the academic results, but academic results alone are not important. They have to be added up with other things to make you a diversity candidate, and that makes all the difference. So I will, before I open the floor for questions, let me let me just wrap up by summarizing what I just said. In India, there are about 10 places where which are excellent for mathematics at the bachelor's level. The ISI, CMI, ISERS, IMA is also good. IISc is really good, and the two or three IITs are really good. IIT Kanpur, IIT Mumbai, and IIT Chennai. Apart from that, even if you get into a second tier college, do not worry. Just make sure you are working on the three things that I talked about. Number one, great research projects that will lead to good recommendation letters. Very important. Number two, um, work on some work experience. Try to gain some work experience. Number three, good academic track records. Now, that doesn't mean you have to have a 10-point GPA or a 100 out of 100 score. In fact, in fact, here is a little trick that I should tell you. If you have a 10-point GPA, there are chances are that you will be regarded as a bookish candidate. And research requires not only consumption of knowledge, research requires some sort of imagination, risk taking ability. So sometimes people with lower GPAs are preferred if they can demonstrate other aspects like great contest results, uh, great research projects and recommendation letters, and so on. So that is the roundup of the entire thing. Now I will take up questions. Please raise your hand if you want to ask questions, and I will ask you to unmute and you can send me the questions. Okay, I see Geeta Ram Lakhiani has. Geeta, let me hear it from you. Go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, thank you as always for the wonderful insights. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you are. A little bit more, maybe is better. Yes. Can you
Is
bring?
it
Yeah.
better?
Now, yeah, it's much better. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I was saying, first of all, thank you so much for the excellent insights that you have always given us. Okay. So the question I have is when we spoke about the boy from America, the one who does the research, did the research projects, Aryan Kalia. Yeah.
Right, right.
So he comes from a US education system. So if
Uh-huh.
I were to kind of emulate that model for, say, for my daughter Anushka,
Right.
in that sense, what would be the right time for her to get into the research aspects? Because you know her schedule, and currently, we are trying, considering her schedule, how is it something that we need to formally work on, or is it something more intuitive, and it has to come along the way? That the second aspect of it, the research capabilities or the research projects. How do we plan that, or is it something requires a planning, or how does it? I mean, I need some guidance around that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand. So Aryan Kalia was just an example, but there are several students from India who are, for example, I think you are based out of Mumbai, right?
That is
So
correct. Yeah.
a kid from Pune is doing a research project on artificial intelligence, and he is in eighth grade. I'm forgetting his name. You can see it in the website actually. I just put the website link there. He's working with Sharnavjo actually. So I'll just put the link there. Yeah. So so there are multiple kids. I think at least more than 20 kids who are involved in some sort of a research project. And the question that you want, and in India, in the United States, in UK, and everywhere, it's really doesn't the geography doesn't matter. So now the question is, what is the right time to do it, and how will it actually emerge, right? So one of the things that has happened before is parents talk to the children and they show them examples of other kids, what other kids have done. It's not a peer pressure, or it's not a psychological pressure, because it's just whether they want to explore such a thing. Okay. um, it cannot be forced onto them. Now after that, the children are actually, sometimes they are curious because it's not a regular academic program. You don't have to remember things, you have to ask questions, find answers. It's like treasure hunt for them, right? So then usually you set up a meeting with someone who you think would be um, a proper person to talk to about or talk to this particular child. For Anushka, it could be I'd be happy to do it, but anyone from his periphery who is involved in research, anyone who is involved in research, that person will be a good person to talk to informally, even before enrolling anywhere. Do not enroll. I mean, there is no rush to enroll. Okay, just have some informal conversations, at least through 1 month. Sometimes you talk, and the person will tell Anushka about his journey or her journey, and maybe Anushka will find it interesting. And when that interest level comes to a certain stage, then they can enroll for a formal research program or research project. Usually research projects can take 1 year, or maybe more than 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on what kind of work they're doing. Um, but um, but yes, that is the first thing. You have to talk to Anushka or the student with some examples of projects. Let's see, look, some kids are doing this. Do you want to do something like this? And then if she is sort of agreed, if she is curious, when you talk to someone for at least informally for some time, like let's say few weeks, and they can have like 10-15 minutes chats over phone or Google Meet. It's really an informal thing. uh, in Bengali we call it adda. It used to happen a lot in Calcutta. It still happens. You sit together and you just think about something. It's an informal thing. And once you are done up to that stage, then you can approach that particular researcher or some other researcher that, okay, now I want a formal project. Can you take this student in? And then that would be a formal thing. And it could be a life changing experience as well. Now, there could be many fake, again, stay away from the fakes. A research project is not just a PowerPoint presentation. They have to be curious about actually making something new. And given the amount of resources that are there, right, in today's world, school students are making new things all the time. They do not need to be revolutionary new things, but they can be little new things, right? So I think that, I don't know if that helps, but that is my uh, uh, 2 points on that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is really helpful, and I will think about it and possibly
Okay, okay.
connect with you offline. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 sure.
Thank you.
Shantini, go ahead. What is your question?
Good morning, sir.
You are barely audible, actually.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Okay. So I gave my BSc. I'm completing my BSc this June, and
Okay.
I gave all these exams of ICMA, and they didn't go pretty well. My
Okay.
chances are less. Now, my professor in college advised me that to get into a master's course anywhere, like just apply somewhere and get in. But I plan to sit out for the next 2023 ISICMI exams. Will it be a good idea to sit out, or should I just enroll wherever I get? And will it, if I wait for the time and suppose I clear the entrance exam, will my waiting period affect uh, my interview or anything?
Look, if you enroll for a university, let's say in around yourself, okay, your classes will start, I think, in August. When will they start? In August or July or August?
Currently, the admission procedures are going probably after August.
After August, right? So here is a thumb rule that I always use. You are thinking that, okay, let's not talk about you. I am thinking that I will study for one more year and get into this and that college, right? Now, to test out my conviction, and I want to skip every other distraction, that could be a good idea. That could be a great idea. But to test whether it is actually a good idea, I can do a small experiment. Can I study for 6 hours every day for the next 30 days? If I can do it, then of course I can do away with all the extra distractions and I can focus on the next year's exam. And I know for sure that I will be able to do it for the rest of the year. I'll be able to work on that 6 hours every day. And if I'm working on 6 hours, something for 6 hours every day, I cannot deal with other distractions. That will be a legitimate argument. But suppose something else happens for the next 1 month. For tomorrow and day after tomorrow, I'm able to do it for 6 hours every day. But for the day next, I do 0 hours. The next day, I do 1 hour. The next day again I do 0 hours. Then again the next day I do 6 hours. It's going zigzaggy. Then I know that I am not disciplined enough to really take advantage of the entire empty year. I'll probably get bored. Then I'll have to get into an university to not get bored and make use of the whatever the remaining time is. Okay. So you can make this experiment with yourself, and you can check out whether you can do it for 1 month, 30 days, 6 hours every day, focused on mathematics, and not just reading mathematics, 15 problems per day. What about that? I think you can do it, but you have to check it yourself. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the next person. I think there is a chat question from Tapan Bhora. Really good in school maths and NCERT curriculum, finds RMP RMO problems really difficult. Okay. Uh, Mr. Bora, okay, you are also asking. So the entire, okay, so certainly we will be sharing the curriculum and all, but really the mm, thing about finding it hard. Uh, so there is a book called Problem Primer in for the Math Olympiad. Okay. So if you have you seen that book, Mr. Bora? Maybe yes. So can you hear me? Tapon Bora. I don't know if you can hear me. Am I audible, all of you?
He messaged you saying that he heard of the book.
Okay. I see. Oh, you are aware of that book. Okay, that's great. So at the beginning of that book, there is a very interesting quote by one of the uh, most interesting mathematicians of um, of our times, Gabor Zego, and I really wanted to show you that particular quote. In fact, all of you, because some. So here it is. Let me just share the screen. 1 second. This could be an interesting and a useful quote actually to answer your question. Am I my is my screen visible? Oh yeah, it's visible now. Is my screen visible now? Can all of you see it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So look, this is by one of the greatest mathematicians of the last century, actually, Gabor Zego. And he's saying, and a final observation, we should not forget that the solution of any worthwhile problem very rarely comes to us easily and without hard work. It is rather the result of intellectual effort of days or weeks or months. Why should the young mind be willing to make this supreme effort? The explanation is probably the instinctive preference for certain values. That is the attitude which rates intellectual effort and spiritual achievement higher than material advantage. Such a valuation can only be the result of long cultural development of environment and public spirit. Look, the point is, it's a hard job, and PRMO is only the beginning of it. So, usually, what happens is, and this is really something that happens I have seen it over the last 10 years. You look into the school problems and you look into Olympiad problems, and there is a distinction in the mindset. The distinction is this: in the school problems, our parents say, have you done 20 problems today? You see what I'm saying? And in Olympiad problems, someone would say, have you done one good problem in the entire month? Or are you thinking about a particular problem? Are you thinking about a particular problem right now? So to answer your question, Mr. Vora, it's a very good question. I usually tell my students that this is what I do. If I'm stuck with a problem, I try some more. I try some more. What if I'm stuck even then? Well, I try even some more. And then I get frustrated. Then I stop trying. Then I just walk around. And then I come back and I try some more. Because if I do not find a way, it's not important if someone else does. Because it's my journey after all. And this is true. This is not just poetry or philosophy. This is a genuine problem solving approach. And this is a thing that is happening. You see, when kids take things like SASMO or HICMO or some other Olympiad, and they get a silver or a bronze or a gold, and they're really excited. They solve 25 problems in 1 hour. That's a very bad thing that's happening. It's creating a fake sense of achievement in the child. It's creating a fake sense of achievement in the child because they have solved 20 good problems. You cannot solve 20 good problems in 1 hour. It's not possible. It's not you. No university will take any of these Olympiads seriously. No university in the world would take any of these contests, 10,000 contests seriously. You go in there, you take in in 2 hours, you solve like 100 problems out of 20 problems. What stupidity is going on? I don't know. It's ridiculous. I'm not saying all private Olympiads are bad. NMTC, it's not really a private organization. It's like a semi-private organization. It's a fantastic organization. The problems are really nice. The really nice problems. So I would say pick and choose the Olympiads that have really good problems. not the ones that creates a fake sense of achievement in your child, because that could be very dangerous, because later on when the real things come in, they will be very sad because they won't get that sense of achievement in the long run. Okay, so again, to be more precise, to answer your question, Mr. Vora, two things. Number one, we make a clear communication about the mindset with the child. We tell that person, the child, that look, this will be difficult, that's why it's interesting, you have to try problems for months. In fact, if you could just tell them, that if you solve 10 problems in a day, I will not be happy. If you are able to solve one problem in a month, that will make me a really happy person. And of course, that problem should be of that kind, right? And the second thing is, it's great if your child can talk to some other people, not for solutions. That's another problem with internet. Solutions are everywhere. It's really, really damaging. Okay, it's really, really damaging. Okay, so not solutions, but someone who you can just talk to for hints. And that could be a faculty member, that could be a fellow student, totally fine. A community where there is interesting mathematical discussion that is going on. Okay, so these two will be very important. And if you, third thing that sometimes work is, if you can see someone else who is also passionate in mathematics, it's also teaching mathematics. Now, personally, I am not a very good student per se, but that is, I do not sit in a classroom and learn something great from a teacher. I'm a really a solo learner when I learn actually something. But of course, I learn from the passion of the teachers. That is more important for me. That, okay, this guy is so passionate about a sequence of natural numbers. What's going on in his mind? Why is he so passionate about it? Maybe I'll never think about natural numbers ever again. I'll just think about geometry because I love geometry. But that passion is important. So three things. Number one, it will be hard. It will take a lot of time. Second thing, talk to some people, possibly friends, for hints, not solutions. Number three, passionate teacher. Okay, yeah. Okay, third, those are the three things. Okay, many more questions are coming in. Let me just go ahead quickly. And Prajakta Borse is asking that. So many questions. Okay, let me just go ahead and answer some of those questions. Um, Prajakta Borse is saying that I can prepare for ISI and CMI entrance by myself or self study. Of course you can, Prajakta. You can do it. Definitely you can. In fact, anyone can study anything on their own and learn it and be an expert in it. Okay, and especially in these days when the books and the resources, so many resources are available for free out there, right? So you can definitely do it, Prajakta. One thing that you will also need, and I seriously mean it, is that someone else to talk to. Sometimes mathematics can be a lonely pursuit, but it is great if someone else is there to bounce ideas. Okay, so maybe you can find a friend who is also doing the same thing and talk to that friend, about some problem every day. This discussion will also help you, but certainly with the right books and with the proper determination, you can do it on your own. You don't have to go anywhere. Okay, now let me answer the next question from Arghya Sheet. Arghya, go ahead. Arghya.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, sir. Then I am asking that if you do some ordinary college BSc degree, ordinary university like Bardhaman University or Bangalore University or Vidyasagar University MSc degree, then
Yes.
how to then what are the prospects of becoming a professor, assistant professor in some college or some research degrees?
Yeah, so if you are in India, then of course you can just give NET, a national entrance test. NET or SET if you're in West Bengal.
Nah, but the problem is that when you give net, I have seen so many people who have cleared net but could not find any position in it. But
Yeah,
what is the
yeah.
reason behind it?
Yeah, the reason is this. There are a couple of reasons here. See, first of all, if you give NET and if you don't have any research experience or any publication or any work experience to back it up, in the interview board you can be chucked off. Okay, that's a possibility. And sometimes just the interview goes bad. That is another thing that happens. So I would say that if while you are doing MSc or a PhD is a good thing to do if you want to teach or if you want to go into research. While you are doing that, make sure you attend enough conferences and do at least one good research project. You don't have to do 10,000 fake research projects. Do one good research project and have it published somewhere, and that would do the trick. Okay, that's and that would also able. You can also go abroad for you can teach in American universities. It's just your work that matters. You can teach in Indian universities as well. So I would say focus on one good research project that could back you up with your net or set score. Okay, so those are the two things. All right, now um, let's go to the a few other questions. I see a lot of raised hands and I see a lot of chat questions. So it's hard for me to follow both of them. So I'll just go ahead and look only to the raised hands. If you have a chat question, you can also raise your hand and I'll respond to you. Okay. Ushma Punatar, go ahead.
Uh, Good morning, sir. So, as usual, I am always grateful to you for helping Aditya throughout his journey at Chinta, sir. And thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I'm Aditya's mother here, sir. Sir, the problem that I'm having with Aditya right now is he seems to be enjoying everything, science, maths, and he wants to, pursue science and maths equally. The problem that's coming to me right now is, sir, time management. I'm not able to devote equal amount of time to science and his interest towards maths, sir. Because like what you said, sir, for maths, I mean, he enjoys doing the non-routine maths thoroughly, but sir, it invests a lot of time. He cannot just, it's like what you said, sir, it's not like a 20 question paper that you finish it in 1.5 hours and you're done with it. There's a lot of study and lot of in-depth knowledge that you need and time devotion towards that topic. So the problem that Aditya is having right now, sir, is also he is targeting the science Olympiads, which he's equally enjoying. So right now, when he's in 8th, sir, I am unable to decide what should I be giving priority to and how do I go about doing it.
Thank you, ma'am, for the question. So, yeah, let me. I see hear my own echo, so I'll just temporarily mute you. But you can unmute yourself whenever you want. Okay. Just I'm hearing my own voice again. Yeah. So the question, as far as I understood, is that it's related to time management, and since he is interested in many things, that is creating some issue. Uh, the thing is, ma'am, I have seen kids like Aditya who are very talented and who would be interested in multiple things. One of the things as parents and teachers that we have to do is to carefully channelize that energy into one place. Because let's say if he wants to do physics or chemistry or biology in the long run, uh, he can always do that. That's fine. But with mathematics, and I would say mathematics should be his forte, because with a strong background in mathematics, he would be able to do those in the long run, whatever he wants, like if he wants to go to physics or chemistry or biology or wherever he wants to go. But if he, let's say he focuses on only physics and he wants to come back to mathematics or go to chemistry, that would be much harder. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect, which is much more important. Sorry, I can again hear my own voice. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
the other aspect that is much more important is something that my professor told me. I was at that time in Arkansas, and I had so he I was really good in things like, apart from mathematics, which I really like, I was really good in stock market and business management and all those kind of stuff. Okay. So young kid at that point. So one day my professor actually said that, okay, why don't we talk a little bit? So I said, okay, let's talk. So he said that, Ashwini, you can be good at many things, but you can be really good at only one thing. Some brilliant people can be really good at maybe two things. Okay. So one thing that is absolutely central to his success story. And again, for Aditya, since he's really good, he has already scored well in some of those medium level Olympiads. And that has, or contests, that has created a sense of satisfaction inside him. And then when he sees a problem
Right.
that is that he's unable to do, this is what he is thinking. He's thinking, maybe there is a concept that I do not know, which if I learn, I will be able to do this problem in a short amount of time.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. You're right about it, sir.
Okay, so that is a very wrong approach
Ah, okay.
toward this entire story. What he has to think is this: maybe there is a concept that can do this problem in a short amount of time, but it will take a long time to discover that concept, and I have to do it. I have to discover that concept. And everyone, you can talk to Rajdeep, you can talk to Srijit, other people who are really good, who did really well, Anushka, anyone, they actually took the pain to actually discover those concepts which would ultimately do that problem in a short amount of time. But discovering that concept, that journey was painful and painstaking and a long term process. It might take even a year, a month,
Okay. Okay.
to unlock an idea. So, for example, if I tell him that concept that would be useful to solve that problem, I'm actually defeating the process. I'm defeating the process.
Right, sir. I get you, sir. Right. Correct.
So you can ask Aditya to come up with the INMO problem list. I will share the not INMO, like level 8 problem list. That is not level 10. Level 8 problem list. I will ask the admin to share with you, and tell him that each of these problems may take a day or a week to solve, but that's totally all right. Because if he's able to do that, he's basically unlocking certain parts of his mind.
All right, got it.
Okay.
Sir, so what I could understand is, sir, irrespective of what are his other interests, maths would always, because math is something that he also loves. So he has to invest time and have to be patient while doing the problems. He just, like, exactly like what you said. So this is what, is happening to him. When he's not able to solve the problem in that stipulated time of maybe 1 or 2 hours that he gets, he kind of gets uneasy and he feels that he does not know exactly like what you said, sir. So thank you
Yes.
so much for the insight, sir. So
Sure,
I need
sure.
to be he needs to be a little more patient while approaching a problem.
You can share that. You can share that quote with him. The
Okay.
one that you just
Yeah.
spoke. I'll
Yes,
just,
sir.
it
Yes,
is
sir. It would be great if you could share this quote on WhatsApp so that we can, show it to the kids, because so the uneasiness and the impatience that these kids have is what so it just spoils the whole beauty of solving math problems.
absolutely. I'll share it. I'll share it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for the question.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So let me just go ahead and see the next person in the list. I see Dharmendra Singh has a raised hand. Go ahead, Dharmendra.
हाँ नमस्ते सर, धर्मेंद्र सिंह बोल रहा हूँ। सर मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ, जैसे मेरा एज अभी 33 है।
हाँ You are muted again, Dharmendra.
हाँ सर, मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ जैसे 33 एज के बाद अगर ये सब चीजें की जाएंगी, पीएचडी और पोस्ट डॉक, और जैसे मैं अभी आईआईटी जेम भी दिया था तो उसमें आई एम वेरी बैड, तो इन सब की
Sorry, you're not audible anymore again. So I think I
काफी
understand
चीजें
the
मैं भूल भी
question.
गया हूँ.
क्या बहुत देरी हो गया है, यही question is that the question?
यस सर, यस सर.
Okay, okay. So is the question is it too late to do all of these things? Okay. So this is a very simple answer to that. The person who built KFC started that in the age of 66. You know KFC, right?
सर, यस सर, यस सर, आई रीड.
Look, we are living in a very different world. People nowadays are thinking about second or third laps in their life. Earlier, what would happen is they would take an education, they would go into a job, they stayed in the job for the entire life, and they would retire, and that would happen. Nowadays, of course, you get an education, get a job, you stop the job, you get another set of education, maybe in something else. That's the fun part of life. You do something nice and interesting, and then you do something with that interesting knowledge, right? So forget about this ageism. It's nothing. It's like it's unimportant. What is important is what you like, what you love to do, and what you can do with that time, with the time that you have in your hand. So do whatever you want. It's time is irrelevant. Okay. All right. Let's go to Gurnur Singh. Gurnur, go ahead. I cannot hear Gurnur, so maybe I'll go to the next person. Uh, let's go to Kajal Sa.
Good afternoon. It was thank you for sharing the great perspective. So my question is, my son is will go to the 8th grade ICSC board, Mumbai.
Okay.
He's interested in mathematics currently. He scores well in mathematics, but at the same time, he doesn't like to pursue science for 9th and 10th grade. So my question to you is like, what do you recommend? Like if he wants to pursue his career in mathematics, which subjects he should go for in 9th, 10th, and even post 10th grade?
Yeah, I mean, if he is interested in mathematics, there are many students actually focus only on the mathematics part and remove physics and chemistry from their bucket list of subjects. That eases the entire journey a lot, because I think if he wants to do that, he should do that. Now, 10 years ago, if you asked me this question, I would have said that a lot of doors will be closed if he doesn't have physics or chemistry. For example, he would not be able to take the engineering entrances and so on. But now I won't say that. Why not? Why not? Because India has also changed a lot in the last 10 years. For example, in IIT Chennai, you have a bachelor's in data science program where even the humanities students can, apply, and they can get a degree from IIT Chennai. And this is just the beginning of it. More and more, all the universities in the world will start offering this sort of things. So, and also, if you have mathematics as a full subject, there will be a lot of opportunities in the coming days. So, I don't see a problem if he wants to drop physics or chemistry. If he really is hell bent on doing it, he can do that. He can focus on mathematics, do really well in that. But then you make a deal with him. You make a deal with him that okay, you like mathematics, you want to do only mathematics. That is great. Can you work on mathematics for 5 hours every day for the next 1 month, and then you decide? You decide. That's great idea. You want to be distraction free. I agree with it. But can you demonstrate to yourself that you can make good use of that time, the distraction free time? Do you have the discipline of doing it? Forget 5 hours, 3 hours. Let's keep it 3 hours. He's a kid. Okay. So I would say that's a better way of approaching the matter. Okay. But there is no problem if it drops out.
Okay, sir. Got it. I'll definitely follow that. Thank you so
Okay.
much for the insight.
Sure, sure, sure. Take care. All right. Next, let me go to Mayuk Chaudhary. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Okay. Though we have interacted personally a couple of times, so
Right.
my two questions, sir. One, that getting a full scholarship in undergraduate level is
Yes.
something very challenging and difficult. Most of us obviously understand that. And
Right.
within that, within the country, obviously, those who are very passionate about really for mathematics actually, and that is CMI and ISI, maybe these are the options. But what if somebody is really good at mathematics and getting into something for maths and computer science dual degree, which is presently in IIT Kanpur and Kharagpur both, and somehow after the maturity they discover that, well, maybe we are not getting into corporate and like to pursue higher studies. So can it be really an option? This is point number one. And point number two, I am not really disrespecting any particular system in the country, but as maybe you are also admitting that the teaching and the academics profession in US is something really very different than most of the country, even in India. As far as I do consider NAT and SLATE, but the structure and maybe the money to, I mean, the package, the honorarium, these are something not really compared. So the kids right now, they are going through whole lot of information from very I mean, their early age. So
Mhm.
somehow there are little bit of distractions that, well, maybe pure mathematics or research and everything. So money and that kind of stuff is, that could be a barrier. So if we do, I mean, if you people can really arrange this kind of workshop where the particular passion, though it is obviously from inner mind, but that kind of stuff, maybe if at least 2 or 3 months after one workshop, so this can be something I am really, if it
Yeah.
is, it's a request from my part actually. That's the thing, nothing
I
else.
understand.
And it is always fascinating to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chaudhary, for that. So, the first question, I'll answer the second question first, actually, about the monetary aspect of it. So, you would be fascinated to know, and Chinta has a lot of faculty members who are based abroad. So, from first hand experience, I can tell you. Actually, the package or the honorarium that Indian professors receive is comparable, if not better, than their European or American counterparts. That is the story of today. And I'll tell you why. You have to see this from a different angle. If you multiply the number by, let's say, 76, whatever the money they are getting, Americans are getting, if you multiply that by 76, that's a wrong number to multiply by because it's not in purchasing power parity. You should actually you should actually look at what kind of lifestyle will that money buy in India. So to do that, you have to multiply by 23. 23 is the value of 23 rupees is equivalent to $1 in purchasing power parity. And in the seventh pay commission, if you look at it, whether in West Bengal or in the central universities, the if you multiply by 23 the American professor's salary, you will see that that's exactly the same as what the Indian professors are getting. And I must admit, with a much lesser workload. So, I mean, in the academic circle, this is a very well known fact. That is one of the reasons why many of the big minds are actually coming back to India nowadays. Um, in IISc Bangalore, in ICTS, in ISI Calcutta, in ISER Kolkata. I have dozens of friends who have come back because the kind of life they can afford here, that has radically changed. Okay. So I think there is a bit of misinformation there, but if you go into the academic circle, you'll really understand what's going on. I'll give you two examples. Ritobroto Munshi, I'm not saying they've come here for money. I'm just saying that this has happened. Ritobroto Munshi, who is one of the students of Andrew Wiles, who solved the famous Farmer's last theorem from Princeton, he is right now in ISI Calcutta. He's a professor there. And Riddhi Pratim Basu, he did his double postdoc in Stanford and UC Berkeley, and now he is in ICTP Bangalore. So, and that's just two examples of many that I can say. Shornendu Sheel, one of my friends, I could say, he is also back in Bangalore actually. And there are many people who are coming back for this reason because of that seventh pay commission has brought this into parity. So you can also communicate. We should communicate this to our children that if you want to get a respectable life and you can earn money in India, and that would be very much comparable to your American colleagues if you look into the purchasing power. Okay. Okay, the second thing that I would say, that the first question that you asked, sorry, I missed the. Can you say the first question one more time? Just remind me
Yeah,
what.
sure. The maths and computation,
Oh,
the
maths and
going to
computer
get a
science. Right,
course
right,
in
right.
IIT
So
Kharagpur and IIT
if someone gets into IIT Kharagpur in a computer science program, well, that is really the best they can do in India, because computer science department in IIT Kanpur is, sorry, not Kharagpur, Kanpur is the best in India. Maybe IISc is the best actually, but anyway, very very close to that. Now, can they go back to research after that? So, for example, in the computer science department, there was Mayank Agarwal, I think, who solved a very famous problem in number theory some years ago.
Yeah, and yeah. Heard of it.
I'm not sure the first name was Mayank, something else maybe, but the last name was surely Agarwal. So many people from computer science department actually, after doing even doing engineering, they go to research line. That's fine. That's totally possible. In fact, they can bring in fresh perspective. Um, and look, the point is, we have to recognize the time that we are living in. It is a very interesting time. The next few 10 years or 20 years, we will have more economic activity than we did in the last 5,000 years. This is an economic reality. And the opportunities will be too much to handle. So he should not even worry about it. He should work with whatever he likes. And if he gets into IIT Kanpur or some good place, that's great. Even if you don't get there, even if you go into Xavier's or Presidency or some other college, normal college, I think that's also totally fine.
Understood
Yeah,
completely.
no? Okay. All right. So let's go to the next person. Um, we have Rajyavardhan Sisodia. Go ahead.
Okay. Sir, like I have, like I will pass 12th this year. So, sir,
Okay.
would you recommend me to take one more gap year for BSc, ISI, CMI entrance, or like just apply for masters, and then like just apply for BSc somewhere and then apply for masters in ISI, CMI?
Well, I'll give you the same answer that I gave to other two people. If whoever is asking this question, should I take a gap year, should do this simple experiment. Can I work for 6 hours every day in mathematics for the next 1 month? If the answer is yes, then yes, you need a distraction free gap year. That's great. If the answer is no, maybe you don't. So you can decide for yourself, Rajvardhan. I think
Okay, thank you.
that is totally fine. Okay, if you do whatever you, I mean, either way, it's fine actually. Let's go to Wanda Petronsky. Wanda Petronsky, can you hear me? If you can you unmute yourself and speak? I'm just not looking at the chats actually. I'm just looking at the raised hands for the moment. Let's go to Pratiksha Seth.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh yeah, now I can get back to Wanda. Okay, go ahead, Wanda.
Yeah, I had just this question that I wanted to self-teach myself calculus, like a bit of calculus, whatever. Then
Okay.
I was trying this book called Calculus by Michael Spivak, and it was really like the author really resonates with the way I do mathematics, like the way he solves simple algebraic things. That whole resonance thing. So I wanted to know what anyone thinks about this book. Do you have to say anything about this?
Spivak's
Have you
book
heard
is
of it?
really nice. Spivak's book is really nice. Yeah. If you want to teach yourself calculus, that is good. And now, depending of what type of calculus you are interested in, but if you are interested in a more analytical flavor of the calculus, that is, you want to see the background story of it, then there is a nice book, a very easily accessible book by Tarasov called Calculus. It's a very short book. You can get it online, PDF file. You can print it and read it. It's a nice book. It will give you an insight into the limiting process and so on. Uh, Apart from that, there is another book called Geometry and Imagination. And Imagination.
I'm sorry, I think you're muted.
Sorry, I gave the name in the chat actually. So this other book is by Hilbert and Wasson. I think I might be misspelling the second author's name. So this will give you a geometric flavor of what's going on in calculus. But Spivak, it will give you a lot of problems to work on. That's also a great book. Okay, so now let's go to
Yeah, thank you.
Pratiksha.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wanda, for asking that question. Pratiksha, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir, and thank you for your insights. It's been lovely just listening to your responses to even other parents. It's pretty insightful. Um, I have one question, which is pertaining to my daughter who will be going to the eighth grade now.
Okay.
Um, she is a bright child, but I don't know, somehow she's developed a little bit of a mental block towards mathematics. And this particular example that you've been giving students, that try doing maths for 5 to 6 hours if you want to really see if you can sit through it. How do I develop that? How do I get her to sit for, like, be persistent, consistent, and have an open mind to maths? That's one. Secondly, we've been doing school maths, but in maths, what she likes is data handling, geometry, those aspects. So, is there any book that I can get her started on for non-routine maths, for which makes maths really interesting for her?
Okay, that's a thank you for the question. Uh, so I'll ask that again. I'll ask the answer the second question first. I think there is a very nice book that she can use. Many of our students actually use it. It's called Mathematical Circles, Russian Experience by Fomin. That is one book that she can definitely use. But there is another one called 1, 2, 3 Infinity. I think there are three dots in between, by George Gamow. Again, excuse me if the spelling is wrong. You can check in the chat. I've put it there. So
Sure.
these are the two books you can obviously recommend her and have her look into. Okay. Now, I did not say. So let me clarify this. I did not say that you have to slog on for 5 6 hours. That was a recommendation for the people who are, for a very specific type of people. Two people. Number one, people who are willing to take a gap year. So that's an experiment they can perform with themselves. That's a thought experiment. And the second type of people I have recommended this is for the people who have gained a fake sense of satisfaction by taking some contests which have a lot of objective questions, and then they get a fifth in the world, 10th in India, or something like that, bronze medal, silver medal, and stuff like that. So for them, I have recommended that get real, get to the real thing. But for the people who are sort of in a mental block, who would not want to actually, you know, do mathematics, like I don't know if that's the case with her, your daughter, how to sort of reignite the interest or ignite the interest in mathematics. That is, if that is the question, I would say that is a very hard question. I do not have a uh, very good answer to that question actually. One thing I have seen, I mean, I have seen to work sometimes, is that if you are able to talk to someone who is passionate about the subject, you know, so uh, for example, I'll give you a very simple example. Think about so many people who are interested in cricket by watching Sachin Tendulkar, right? That's not even really talking to Sachin Tendulkar, just looking at Sachin, right? And similarly, so many people have loved, wanted to become a singer when they saw Lata Mangeshkar performing. So watching someone or interacting with someone who has that sort of interest, that level of maturity and interest, that could really help. That might help. Now, how do you find someone like that? Um, I can recommend one thing, ma'am. This is free for everyone. Like, you don't have to pay anything. You may have her engaged in the math circle process that we have at Chanta. Um, that helps the kids to, interact with other kids who are also doing non-routine kind of mathematics, thinking about those sort of problems. And it's free for, I mean, they just have to devote some time, 2 hours every month. But I think that might help. I don't know whether it will or not. So three things again to reignite the interest: the books that I have recommended. The second thing is, of course, talk to someone, and third thing is the math circle. I think that could help as well. Okay.
Sure. If I have to, can I just take a minute?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So to give you the backstory, the context was not provided. Actually, she, in NSTSC kind of competitions in grade one, she
Yeah.
had stood first in the school. But she
Yeah.
gave one difficult exam, which was the Maths Olympiad, and she didn't do well. So, and honestly, I sent her unprepared for it. And so I feel very responsible, which is why I'm even asking you on this forum. So she says, Mama, because and that setback, see, there are two ways a student can come out of it. Either I will see to it that in the next Olympiad I'll do superbly well, or I just don't want to do this, I'll do bio. You take a complete U-turn. So,
Yeah.
and any whatever you choose, I think math is an important aspect. It will feature somewhere. So I wanted to just, but thank you for the book, sir. I'll
Sure.
definitely, and
Sure.
even the
Sure,
math
ma'am.
progress.
Yeah. Also tell her that, that place where you got first, that's not that important. It's probably a fake Olympiad. It's probably useless. Forget that. Focus on the real things. And the books
Sure.
that I recommended, that would work actually. Okay. So anyway, the next question, let me take another question from Mrinal Vartak. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. It was a really nice info that you have given us. I'm mother of Parth Vartak. Right now, he's not attending because he is busy with IJS or OCSC. Uh, I really wanted to know. You told us about the universities for mathematics in India, but I
Mm.
really wanted to have a view from you regarding uh, undergrad in mathematics abroad also, because the way I hear from other people, other professors in math, that you have better campuses, better offerings of courses for interdisciplinary thing, because now it's more of interdisciplinary approach rather than only doing some subject per se, something like only one subject. So, but his core interest is math. He likes physics, he likes computer science, and I think CMI offers one of the two for this for BSc. But I really wanted your opinion regarding core undergrad outside India, maybe sir US, or and undergrad here in mathematics, like in institutes like CMI, ISI, or ISC, all of the institutes that you have put forth.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am, for that question. So, one thing that I have to stress is that if you go to ISI, CMI, IASC, ISERS, you will have a world class education. There is no doubt about it. The professors who are there in those places, maybe the syllabus or maybe the teaching strategy is a bit archaic in some places, maybe the pressure is a bit more, but in general, you will have a world class education experience. And one thing I always say is that at undergraduate level, you also have to stay a bit grounded, like stay close to the earth, because at the end of the day, we want a good life for our children, like a balanced life for our children. So there are other things also going on outside, and I'm not saying they're not going on in India, they're also going on in India. But in India, my mother is there, my father is there, someone will, there is a what we can what we say, there is some sort of a thing, but outside there is that another aspect as well. But having said that, any one of the top 100 universities in the world, they could provide potentially better opportunities for children, uh, for two reasons. One, first, the most important one is that there is a sense of freedom that the child experiences when they enter an undergraduate program, because they can pick and choose from whatever courses they want. It's happening in India nowadays as well a little bit, but in US or in UK or some other places, you can just take theater and mathematics together, and they take a lot of pride in it, that they have this diversity. And that's actually a good thing, because a person is usually of diverse interest, and then once they get into the undergraduate program, they can really find their own way, and they can shine in that. So that's number one, there is a lot of flexibility out there. And the second thing is that in general, the professors will be more open to, because you see, in there is a problem in, I truly love my country, don't get me wrong with that. I'll stay with India till the end of my days. That's what I want. I feel at home here. Of course, I'm born here, of course. But anyway, apart from that, I have found that in the academic circles, teachers can be a bit uptight. They are, they are sitting in a high pedestal. They are,
Yeah, they keep themselves aloof, maybe.
yeah, they are
Not
handing
so
out
connected.
commandments.
Yeah.
Yeah, not all actually. For example, my teacher, I am very fortunate, like Swadhin sir, Swadhin Patnaik, the director of my institute in India. He used to chat with me from mathematics to Marxism to Rabindranath to all sorts of stuff. We used to walk in the evening in the institute and talk to each other. We still talk right now. Even in my high school days or in my university days, I talk to my teachers all the time. But that's a rare find. When I talk to other people, I hear that professors are sometimes inaccessible. It's hard to, penetrate through their barrier. So that's the second thing. So if your son gets an opportunity in, let's say, the top 100 universities of the world, and he gets an opportunity in India as well, the top 10, the one that I talked about, I think India would be a better option, but otherwise US or other places will be a better option. And to do that also, he has to stay focused on one thing. He doesn't need to show that he is good at many things. If he just shows that he's good at one thing, but he's really good at that, that could be science, that could be maths, anything, that would take him a long way. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank
All
you, sir.
right. Okay. Last question. Navjot, lovely. Go ahead.
हेलो सर।
Yes. Hello.
सर मैं आईआईटी जैम की प्रिपरेशन कर रही हूँ
अच्छा.
और लेकिन मैं 4-5 मंथ से कर रही हूँ। प्रॉब्लम ये है कि मैं मुझे नहीं पता था कि इसके लिए कितना वर्क करना पड़ेगा, मुझे कितना हार्ड वर्क करना पड़ेगा, लेकिन अभी कर रही हूँ तो मैं क्वेश्चंस को मतलब जो करती हूँ तो जो डिफिकल्ट टाइप के क्वेश्चन होते हैं ना, जो इजीली नहीं होते हैं, मैं उनसे भागती हूँ दूर। मतलब मैं उनको करने की ट्राई करती हूँ, लेकिन मुझे ऐसा होता है कि हाँ जल्दी जल्दी मेरा आंसर निकल आए, जल्दी जल्दी मैं किसी ना किसी वजह से बस आंसर निकल आए मेरा। मतलब ऐसा माइंड सेटअप हुआ पड़ा है, पता नहीं क्यों है ये। मतलब मैं ज्यादा नहीं कर पा रही और फिर मैं ऐसे भी सोचती हूँ, मतलब नेगेटिव फीलिंग्स बहुत आती हैं कि क्या मैं आईआईटी के कैपेबल भी हूँ, क्या मैं ये कर भी सकती हूँ, क्या मैं, मतलब ऐसी भी फीलिंग्स आती हैं फिर बीच में। तो बहुत मतलब ऐसा चलता है, ऐसा चल रहा है। तो मैं मतलब कभी कभी सोचती हूँ कि फिर यार मैं ऐसा मतलब क्या मैं सच में प्रिपेयर कर सकती हूँ इसके लिए, अगर मेरा ऐसे ही चलता रहा कि मैं प्रॉपरली ध्यान ही नहीं दे पा रही, क्वेश्चन को कैसे प्रॉपरली अटेम्प्ट करना है, उन चीजों पर कंसंट्रेट नहीं कर पा रही, मैं दूर भाग रही हूँ। तो इसके लिए मुझे एडवाइस चाहिए।
हाँ, एक बहुत ही अच्छा क्वेश्चन है नवजोत, थैंक यू फॉर दैट. Actually, I do a trick actually with myself, I'll tell you that. Okay. मेरा एक छोटा सा नोटबुक है, मतलब वो बहुत ही सस्ते में मिलता है, मतलब वो मतलब पॉकेट डायरी टाइप का होता है, ठीक है.
जी
तो मैं क्या करता हूँ, उसमें ना 2-3 प्रॉब्लम लिख लेता हूँ. तो मान लो मैं रास्ते में चल रहा हूँ या कोई कैफे में बैठा हूँ या बस में जा रहा हूँ या कहीं पे बैठा हूँ, कहीं से बातचीत करता हूँ, तो मैं उस प्रॉब्लम को ना मतलब देखता रहता हूँ वो छोटा सा नोटबुक पे जो 2-3 प्रॉब्लम लिखा हुआ है. और फिर अगर मुझे कुछ आइडिया आता है या कुछ थॉट्स आता है मेरे दिमाग में, तो मैं वहीं पे थोड़ा जॉट डाउन कर लेता हूँ. तो वो जो पॉकेट नोटबुक है वो थोड़ा ज्यादा डरावना नहीं है, क्योंकि उसमें 2-3 ही प्रॉब्लम्स है और वो ज्यादा सीरियस भी नहीं है, क्योंकि मैं तो रास्ते में भी कर रहा हूँ वो चीज, रेस्टोरेंट में बैठ के भी कर रहा हूँ. लेकिन अब कॉफी पीते पीते क्या डरावना काम करना है ना. लेकिन मैं कर रहा हूँ और बनते 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 एक दो जब बन जाता है तो कॉन्फिडेंस थोड़ा वापस आ जाता है, ठीक है. और फिर मजा आता है काम करने में, ठीक है. तो पहली बात तो यह है कि मजा आना चाहिए, बाकी सब तो हो जाएगा, पैसे तो बना लेंगे, मजा वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. और दूसरा चीज ये है about the quality of students who are going to IITs for mathematics programs. It's not that high actually. It's not literally, because the best people have already gone to other disciplines. So you can think of it, it's a very negative thing to think, but it's really the truth. जो सबसे अच्छे बच्चे हैं वो कहीं ना कहीं चले गए हैं, क्योंकि वो बैचलर्स लेवल में भी छट जाते हैं, ठीक है.
हाँ जी.
तो if you work reasonably hard, like 3 hours every day, you should be able to get through it. Okay. तो कोई बात नहीं, मजे से करते रहो, हो जाएगा, ठीक है.
ओके सर,
चलो बाय.
थैंक यू सर जी.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining in today. I don't think we have any more questions left. We will meet again sometimes later then, down the year. Thank you for joining in. Bye.